Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today I'd like to continue on with the video a day. That is a video that I upload here on this channel during this month of October 2020. One a day. And I talk in each video about a film or a TV series that in one way or another I feel has some spiritual connection with the season of Halloween. Halloween is just around the corner. And today I'd like to focus our attention on a most striking and unforgettable work of the horror slasher genre. This is a big one, and when you see it, you'll know what I mean. This is from 1982, and the filmmaker is Juan Piqué-Simón. The title in Spanish, and you'll have to forgive me, please forgive me for my poor Spanish pronunciation skills, but the title in Spanish is Mil gritos tiene la noche, which translates in English as The Night Has 1,000 Screams. However, in English, there is perhaps another title by which this film is best known, and I have the title right here. This is the film Pieces. Pieces is one of those extraordinary splatter-fests of a true genre bent, and one of those films where once you see it, you can never unsee it. And I think that is a phrase that has a lot of meaning, or at least I mean it to have a lot of meaning. Before I go any further, I should point out that what I have here is the Region B Blu-ray or limited edition set from the great people at Arrow Video. And I'm very happy that I was very lucky too that I was able to get one of these when it was still being released. So it looks really great here, and there are many great special features, many of which I think help to provide a lot of insight and appreciation for this work. Now, I should say also that a film like Pieces, or films that are similar to Pieces, are not for everyone. That is for sure. This is a film that is definitely not for everyone. And so if you are wary of watching films that have a really in-your-face gore, special effects, splatter effects, and these slasher film types of subgenre films, then this film is definitely not for you, because it has all of that in very large doses. So it has a lot of this gore splatter effect, violence, and it also has a lot of nudity to boot. So this is definitely not for everyone. However, for those for whom this type of film is okay, then what we have here, I think, is a film that is really one that can be seen to be many things. On the one hand, it could be said to be a really pure B-grade slasher film that is just oozing with blood and guts and nudity and these set pieces of the killer stalking the campus and the story that unfolds, and the whole thing about the past, what happens in the past and how that affects the present, and repression and all these themes, and red herrings and mysterious suspects, and who is the killer, and that kind of those kinds of traits that are very common in the slasher film genre or subgenre. So in many respects, this is a true to form slasher film, and some might call it even further a sort of B-grade level slasher film. And I think on one level that is completely an appropriate way to look at this, because I think this is unabashedly a true to form slasher in that respect. This is also, however, a film that can also be seen to be maybe related to that. It could be seen by some perhaps to be very trashy, very sleazy, and very over the top. So we have this film that really goes for the extremes. It really goes for the extremes in terms of its use of special effects, and also the situations that are presented in terms of the characterizations that we meet, and the characters that we meet in this film. And the setups here are really quite absurd. Many of them are. And some might consider that to be of a low quality or of a trashy, sleazy quality. Okay. But then there might be the other view, which can point to those aspects, but look at those aspects in a way that lifts this film up into a camp classic or a cult classic, wherein those cheesy aspects or those trashy, sleazy aspects help to give this film a cult cinema type of aura, such that those cheesy scenes become memorable scenes, and those cheesy lines of dialogue, in particular in the English language version, become some of the most memorable parts of the film. And so in that view of the film, I think this can be seen also as being potentially a really entertaining, campy cult classic. And I think it is, because it has an immense cult following, because of these elements that are combined in this very absurd and entertaining way. And also, another way to look at this film is to see it in the context of Spanish cinema, and in particular Spanish horror cinema or Spanish genre cinema. And when we think about the movements or the examples of Spanish horror or Spanish genre cinema in the mid to late 1970s on up through to the early 80s, where we have pieces, then I think we can discover and we can identify a kind of consistency, if you will, and a social link between the expressions that we see in this kind of genre cinema-like pieces, and the links that we can maybe identify between these really evocative, over-the-top, almost grand guignol expressions of violence, of sexuality, of these comic tones and the like, and really stylization that is over the top and quite brilliant. And we can probably identify a lot of these stylistic aspects with the nature of Spanish cinema, especially during especially linked with Spanish history from the mid to late 70s onwards. And so when we think about the types of explosions of expression, shall we put it that way, then I think we can see pieces in a very appropriate, maybe social and socio-political context. And so I think, therefore, as an example of Spanish horror cinema or Spanish genre cinema, this film, I think, is very it's very illuminating. The Arrow video release, by the way, has some great supplements that really provide some further insight into this particular viewing or aspect of the film as a work of Spanish cinema. So, however you view the film, my friends, I think in any event, what connects all these potential interpretations or perspectives on this fascinating film ultimately is in its ability to shock and to surprise and to make one laugh and to really just have the viewer either marvel or be disgusted or whatever at the sights that we see in this film. And my goodness, some of these sights are just over the top, just absurdly violent and just, as I say, unforgettable stuff. Now, I should point out too that we have the film that is available to view in the Spanish language, or we can watch it in an English language track. And the effect of this film, watching it in English, I think, especially or not especially, but in the English language track that is available for this film, I think we understand, or we can begin to understand, that there is an even further heightened level of cheesiness and campiness because of the way that the English dialogue sounds and it's recorded, because some of the dialogue in the English language track is very campy and absurd and thus very funny, and it has this almost lovable aspect to it, that just how cheesy some of the dialogue is. So that's the English language track. And in fact, if you watch it in the Spanish language, a lot of those moments that seem cheesy in the English have in fact a much more, let's say, a much more serious tone to it. And so we watch pieces, if we watch it in Spanish, and then we're watching it in English, it could potentially be a very different viewing experience. And so that's something to consider if you are able to watch pieces and you have the option to watch it in a particular language. So, but in any event, I think we do get still an over-the-top, hilarious, violent, just a blood splatter entertainment of a certain quality that is, I think, unabashed, and it is not ashamed of what it is. It is very much, it very much knows what it is, and it, I think, revels in that kind of status. And good for that as well, good for the film on that, because it really is what it says on the tin. This is a very a very bloody affair, and if, as I say, if you don't like it, then this is not for you. But if you do find yourself okay with this kind of stuff, then this is one of those films that you will find so entertaining. It'll just make you laugh, it'll make you cringe, it'll just make you think, what did I just see, or what did he just say? Did he say what I think he just said? That sort of thing. And then when it really goes off, it really goes off, and it just it doesn't let up until the very end. And even then, it goes for it. And my goodness, you're sitting there as the credits roll, and you're just thinking to yourself, or I'm thinking to myself, what did I just see? My goodness, what did I just see? Yeah. You watch it, and you can never unwatch it. And sometimes those films are really fun to watch. And so this is an example of that, my friends, I think. This is the film Pieces. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your precious, precious time. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.